All right, so for today's fluency, you are going to be having two questions. The first question says to find the difference between 761 and 99 hundredths and 38 and 156 thousandths. So we know when we're dealing with fluency and we have to look for our key words, you look for the word difference. We know that difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So we're going to be sitting here subtracting these two numbers from each other. But when we are subtracting, we want to make sure, before we even start subtracting, is that we line up our digits and line up that decimal point based off of its place value. So you first will put your first number down. You'll put your decimal point. And you'll put your 9. Then you'll subtract. I always put my decimal point first, so I know that it's lined up. And then I look for the 8. The 8 is in the ones column, so that means that I'm going to put it underneath the 1 because in the first number, the 1 is in the ones column, so I'm going to line them up. Then I'm going to look, and 3 is in the tens column, so I'm going to put a 3 underneath the 6, which is in the tens column. The 1 is in the tenths column, so I'm going to put that in the tens column. The 5 is in the hundredths column, or place value. And the 6 is in the thousandths place value, so I'm putting that the thousandths. I do not have a number in the thousandths place value in my first number, so I'm going to put a 0 as a placeholder to make sure that I'm staying in the right place value when I subtract. So before I start subtracting, I drop the decimal down, so I'm going to drop it down, drop it down, drop it like it's hot. Okay, so now I have 0 minus 6. I know I can't do that, so I have to go next door. That 9 becomes an 8, and that 0 becomes a 10. So then I begin subtracting. 10 minus 6 is 4. 8 minus 5 is 3. 9 minus 1 is 8. 1 minus 8 I can't do, so that 6 now needs to come to be a 5 because I took away from it. And the other 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. And looking at the 7, there's no number here, so I could put a 0 here and say 7 minus 0 is 7. So my answer, when I subtract them, is 723 and 834 thousandths. Now we are going to find what is the sum of 5 and 6 7 hundredths, 19 and 12 hundredths, and 3,167 thousandths. Okay, when we find the sum is the answer to an addition problem. So we are going to make sure that we want to add those numbers up. When we add, we want to make sure that our numbers are lined up based off of their place value and the decimal point is lined up. So I put my decimal point down. And then the 9 is in the ones place, so I'm going to put the 9 underneath the 5. The 1 is in the tens place, so I'm going to put the 1 in the tens spot. The other 1 is in the tenths place, so I'm going to put that underneath the 6. The 2 is in the hundredths, so I'm going to put it underneath the 7. I'm going to move my decimal point over just so it's not on top of the 9. And then I'm going to put my other decimal point down and put my 0, my 3, my 1, my 6, and then my 7. Now I know it looks funky because there's no numbers above the 6 and there's no numbers above the 7. But that's because it's based off of their place value. So if it helps you out by putting zeros here for holders so you know that you're adding 6 to 0, you can do that. If it helps you stay in your place value and stay in the right, adding the right numbers up, more power to you to do that. So then I'm going to drop my decimal point straight on down. Dropping it down, drop it down. And I knew that sum, I'm going to fix that a little off. So I know that sum means to add. Okay, my decimal points drop down, so I can now start adding. 0 plus 0 plus 7 is 7. 0 plus 0 plus 6 is 6. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. So I put my 0. And I'll bring up my 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So I put my 1 down. Bring up my other one. And begin to add. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 9 is 15. 5. Bring up the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Alright, so that takes care of fluency for our Monday.